For a couple of students outside there who has been bothered with the kind of questions that the SAT, being the Scholastic Assessment Test Board, ask whenever it comes to reading passages, I would like to just give an expose on this, because invariably what we have recently, since the admission of the application of digital test rather than a paper pencil test, has been short kind of test. And invariably when we talk about SAT reading, there are essentially 6 kinds of questions. Pay attention to that. 6 kinds of question, ranging from the global question to inference question to detailed question to command of evidence question to function questions, and function question to vocabulary in context question. So we have 6 types of question when it comes to the reading part of the SAT question. So I'm going to give you a bit of explanation concerning this kind of questions. Then subsequently, we would be treating how to answer such questions, because there are cheats actually. You understand? So you don't just see SAT reading question and you just jump at it, and that is why a couple of persons find themselves getting a very woeful score. So talking about the global question, when we talk about the global question actually points the attention of the student or the reader or the learner to the main idea of the passage or the big picture of the passage. What is the author saying, right? What is it trying to point your attention to? What is the overall theme? What is the overall concentration of the passage? Are you getting me? Now, it is important for you to note that invariably what the SAT does recently is they just extract a paragraph for you and give you some question from there. Do you understand? So it's not like what we used to have about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that you have a long text. So presently what we just have, what the SAT usually give are just short paragraph text. So once they give you the short paragraph text, you read it through and you find the main idea, or you find the big picture. What is the big picture? What is the overall context? What is the main idea of what the passage or the paragraphs are saying? So that is global question. So secondly, we have the inference question. When we talk about the inference question, just like the name says, is like, okay, what is the author inferring by saying this? So it is not clearly stated in the passage. So what you need to do as a reader is try to be in the author's stream of consciousness. What do we call the stream of consciousness? Try to be in the author's mind. Are you getting me? Now, pay close attention to the fact that comprehension passages are tested to identify or know your level of understanding of such passage. So if you get yourself out of the mind or out of the stream of consciousness of the writer or the author, you are going to miss out on this kind of question. So that is why whenever you are reading a passage or you are reading a paragraph, you must be intentional. You must avoid every element of distraction. So inference questions are questions that point out to you trying to say or identify what the writer is saying. So it is not clearly stated in the passage. So could it be that the writer is trying to say this or that? Do you understand? So it is not clearly stated, but from the surrounding context of such passage, you would have an idea of what the author is inferring to. Are you getting me? So the second one is detailed question. So just like detailed question, just like inference question, are you getting me? So detailed question is a question that is pointed out to something that is clearly stated in that particular paragraph. Are you getting me? It is clearly stated. You can see the word clearly, or you can see synonyms related to such context in the passage. Unlike inference question, that it is not clearly stated. So for detailed question, they give you a question and you go to the paragraphs that is given or the paragraph that is given to look out for the detail of such question in that particular passage. Do you understand? So what is the connotative meaning, or what is the writer saying in that particular context? Do you understand? So it is clearly stated when it comes to detailed question. Then the next one is command of evidence question. Command of evidence question. Now, for you to have a command of evidence question, you usually have a detailed question come ahead of that. So command of evidence questions are questions that direct your attention to the paragraph. So you go to the paragraph to actually pick an evidence that supports what has been stated in that particular question. Are you getting me? That supports that particular question. So now, for you to be able to identify these kinds of questions, there is what we call the question stem. We're not going to be treating that today, so maybe subsequently, and we're going to be putting you through how to identify or break down your question stem. So your command of evidence, just like the name connotes, command of evidence. The evidence is in the passage. So what you just need to do is to go to the paragraph or the passage to look out for the evidence to what is clearly stated in that particular question. So that is command of evidence question. Then the next kind of question that we have is the function question. The function question is a question that asks about, okay, what's the intent? Ask about intent of that particular extract. Did you get that particular extract? So that is function question. It asks about purpose. It asks about intent. It asks about the work. Do you understand? The function, the action that particular context or that particular extract is performing. So that is function question, right? So, and the final one is vocabulary in context question. Vocabulary in context question. Some person usually call it vocab in context question. Sometimes it could be diction in context question. So when we talk about vocabulary is a choice of words used in communicating an intended meaning. Do you understand? So it is related to diction. So in literature, we call diction. Diction is the choice of word made by the writer or the author in conveying the meaning of what he has in mind. Are you following now? So that is vocabulary or what? Or diction. So now, when we talk about vocabulary in context question, the reason why it is called vocabulary in context question is that invariably the SAT board will necessarily give you a word or a phrase from that particular paragraph, and they tell you to replace or pick an option that can replace that particular choice of word that is given to you. Do you understand? So what you need to do in this context is for you to look at the surrounding text. Now, there are some particular words that you may literally just know the meaning and you just jump into it and pick, okay, this is the meaning of this particular word, but you may get it all missed out. Now, the reason is that when you insert it in that particular context, right, that particular choice of word that you selected or that you picked, if you insert it in the context of that discourse, the discourse or the context may lose its intended meaning. Do you understand? So that is why it is called vocabulary in context. So the choice of word that you're using to replace such word must fit into the overall context of that choice that is made. Did you get that now? So that is why it is called vocabulary in context question. And well, there are some time that you may not necessarily identify a particular word that can fit into that context. So it's very, very simple. What you need to do is to check the surrounding text. Now, when we talk about the surrounding text, we have the pretext, we have the post-text. The pretext comes before the word that is italicized, the word that you're supposed to replace, and the post-text comes after. Now, the pretext, right, gives you a direction to what the context, what that particular word that you are told to replace is talking about. Then the post-text to tell you the direction in which that word is going. So if you don't have an idea of what the meaning of that word is, what you just need is to check the pretext and the post-text. So once you check the pretext and the post-text, you now look out for word. You understand? Word. Make predictions of word that could fit into that context. And by the way, the word that you are told to replace will necessarily give you an idea of the word that you are to replace. Are you with me now? So what you need to do is to check the pretext and the post-text. Once you check the pretext and the post-text, you will be able to replace the word accurately and precisely. Do you understand? So don't forget what I told you today. We have the global questions, we have the inference question, we have the detailed question, we have the command of evidence question, the function question, and the vocabulary in context question, which makes it 6 types of question under the reading part of the SAT. In our next video, I'm going to be taking you through how to answer this kind of question and how to identify this kind of question in whenever you're giving your test. Also, we'll also be looking at question stem. Are you getting it? How do you break down your question stem for you to be able to identify the kind of question that you are told to